Well, hey there everyone, Kaye here on my homestead. Welcome. Well, I just wanted to have a quick check-in with everyone, see how everyone's doing. A lot has changed in the last 3 days. I'm going to just go through some headlines and we're going to talk about it. But also, I wanted to share my day yesterday with my brother. I had a rare day where we met up at my mother's in Nashville and we drove to Alabama. We stopped off in Spring Hill. We saw a cousin and her husband, and then we went to Lexington, Alabama, and saw an uncle and an aunt, and their granddaughter was staying there. So we had a wonderful country meal. I took some roasted sweet potato slices. You know, you slice them thin and you just lay them out on a tray. Well, I like to just mix them in a bowl with olive oil, drizzle olive oil, salt and pepper and herbs, and just toss them up in a bowl and then lay them out. And then you don't have to use a brush to brush the sweet potatoes, you know, with the oil. Otherwise they'll dry out. And then you just cook them at 400 until they're tender, which depends on the thickness. This was my contribution. She said, I'll do everything else. We had a lovely day, and we even had an opportunity to go to, I may or may not have been there before, I don't remember, but my brother had been there with my father years ago. There are Kittrell, they say down here, cemeteries, and we got to go and see some of our ancestors there. There was one stone. A father and son were together, and my brother used the word bushwhacked. I think that's the same as hijacked, but they were murdered on the same day. I think the son was 18, and so they were buried there. And the stone said they died on March 7th, 1888. And that was Rufus Kittrell, and his son George. Rufus had a brother named Benjamin C. Kittrell. C stood for Caesar. My brother did all this work on, our ancestry, because my brother, this particular brother, is and was a Civil War buff. Our ancestors came over from, on my father's side at least, because that's been studied. My mother's side hasn't been studied, but our father's ancestors came over from, he would always say Scott-Irish Welsh. And so I just know that our family name started out Catharall, Catharall, in Scotland. And then in the 1700s, they moved to England, and the spelling of the name became what it is today. And then at some point they immigrated, somewhere between the 1700s and the 1800s, they immigrated to the southeast. So we saw this, and now Rufus, who was the brother of Benjamin C., we didn't get to go to Benjamin C.'s gravesite because it was in another area. Benjamin C. was, I forget his regiment, but during the Civil War let's see, was this the Civil War? Anyway, he was captured at the Battle of Shiloh. I do remember this. He just orally told me this as we were driving. And he was captured and taken up on a steamship to Illinois and put in a prison there for 6 months, where he was exchanged for some Union soldiers, a prisoner swap. So he got to go back, down and join his regiment again. But that prison was in the Mississippi River Basin, and it's all gone because the river moved and it's all buried. I'm going to talk about the war that we're in a moment, but first I wanted to say that my brother had some items that he took down to my uncle. My uncle was the baby of my mother's family. There were 5 children. One passed away from a car accident after the war, World War II. He was injured in France, and he was in a hospital in, I believe, Germany for a while. When he came home, of course, back then they didn't call it PTSD, but that's obviously what he had. And he had real trouble with sounds, and so life was hard for him. And he wound up in a car accident, back before we had seat belts. You run off the road and you fly out the door. And he went out the door, and the car ran over him somehow. So just having my uncle tell us that story, I mean, my uncle's almost 84, and he was, choking up and tearing up, and family was all that was on my mind yesterday. My brother took this was my grandmother's Bible. And when I looked at the cover, I thought, my goodness, that's got to be 80 or 90 years old. The cover's just falling apart. And it has a scent. It's not like a musty, it's almost like a perfume. The cover wasn't leather, it was just that covered thicker paper. Her name in the front, she started to write it, and she misspelled her last name. She left out the W, and she scratched it out and wrote it right underneath it, but it was in cursive. It's in cursive. The beautiful thing about this Bible is that it's of course published in the U.S. We have a huge publishing of Bibles in this country, but guess where they're printed now? Yeah, this one. Anyway, I thought this Bible was got to be 80, 90 years old, but it says Regency Publishing House, New York, New York, and printed in the United States of America. Spelled out, 1973 by Regency Publishing House, New York, New York. So it is a giant print, and I just, these old pages, I just wanted to look at it for a minute because my brother was going to give it to my uncle. And my brother said, Kaye, I brought that for, and I said, I know, I just want to look at it for a minute. And I said, well, if you have Bibles and you don't need it or want it, I'll take it. And he gave it back to me. So I'm so happy because this is the Bible that I have here, which of course I love the cover and the color and everything. When I first came here, I had my fireplace redone. You've probably seen that video if you've been watching for a while. It was just this, the brick, the way they bricked the fireplace originally. Obviously, they planned to put some covering over the top, like paneling or something, because, the bricks were turned every which way, either out with the holes sticking out and the cement coming out or other. And so I said, I want it beautiful. It's something you walk by, you look at every single time you walk through the house. You look at that, and I wanted just a beautiful corner there. And boy did I, boy did I get it, but boy I paid for it. Woo! Every time you get into a construction project, it always, remember this, always costs more than you think it's going to. At any rate, the man's wife worked at the Gideons, or something to do with the Gideons. She was distributing Bibles or getting Bibles printed or something at her job, and so she got this for me. And it's beautiful. My name's on it in gold in the front, but inside it says printed in China. And it is large print. And both have the red letter language for Jesus speaking. So I'm just glad to have both, because I wasn't present for either one of my grandparents, when they cleaned out the house and everything. And so I have that one clock, which I showed in a live stream, from my other grandmother. And then I was there yesterday trying to think if I have a single thing from this grandmother. Okay, so this is what I want to talk to you about. When I used to go to the doctor, I lived in California. I ate well. I was an actor, so I had to maintain a certain, look and weight and everything, and I wanted to look good. And so I was careful, pretty much about what I ate. But fortunately, I have a constitution that I can occasionally have a piece, like yesterday, a piece of delicious. Here's a picture of my aunt made this chocolate pie. She took it she was just finishing it when we got there, and she put it in the oven while we were eating. So she took it out right away, and it was just runny, but it was so delicious. It's, I'm not above eating a fresh out of the oven chocolate cream pie with a spoon, okay? And the meringue, it was so delicious. So I would go to the doctor back in California, when something was wrong. And basically I was there for a diagnosis. And the only thing that they could ever complain about was my cholesterol. And of course we've learned a lot about cholesterols in the last 10 years, and the whole thing about statins and all of that stuff. Well, I would go to the doctor and I'd say, just tell me what I have, and I'll take care of it. Unless it's an infection. Yes, I agree. Antibiotics have saved a lot of people from death, and malaria drugs and things like that. Parasite drugs. Those are the main things really in life, is parasites, mosquitoes and infections, so. But if it was something else, he would just say, I said, I don't want a prescription, I don't want, and he'd say, Kaye, you're tying my hands behind my back. That would just come out. He said it more than once. Now just imagine. At the time I was so naive, I thought, what difference does it make to you if I get on some medication, But these medications, like cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, and not to mention all the SSIs. So yesterday, I am driving to meet up with my brother, and I hear this interview. Even though we've learned a great deal about the big, pharmaceutical complex in the last 4 years, even I was surprised by this. So there is this new drug that has Wall Street jumping in cartwheels, he said, and that is Ozempic. Maybe you've heard of it. They're advertising it like crazy. Are you aware that the United States, and I believe it's New Zealand, there's only a couple of countries in the world that have the permission to advertise directly to consumers via television? We went from having somewhat straight ahead news of the day to now everything, the largest advertiser on the news, certainly. Sports programs, entertainment, award shows, anything spectacular where there are a lot of eyeballs are going to be watching it. The pharmaceutical companies, one in particular I can think of, is going to be sponsoring it. Well, that colors everything, and he talks about this and how how it affects, the people that hear it and the message and all of that. And I think it's really important, especially if you are on a what he calls a lifetime drug, and they are. I can't tell you how many times my doctor said, "Well, Kaye, you don't want to have a stroke. Well, Kaye, you don't want to have a stroke. Well, Kaye, you don't want to have a stroke." When I would go in and he would want to get me on statins. Of course, we know a lot more about cholesterol now than we did then. That was 20 years ago. As he points out, many people get prescribed these drugs to take for your whole lifetime. So this new Ozempic, which he will fully disclose to you, and you can do your own research, and you may already be trying it or considering it, because he was saying something like 60% of adults are pre-diabetic in our country. That's outrageous. Now this company that makes this product is based in the EU, but they're not even allowed to give it over there. They're making their money off of the US. Just think about that. Let that sink in, Wow. And it is a lifetime drug. 20,000, 60% of Americans, we have 300 million people here? Think of the staggering numbers of profit that could mean. And the drug, according to him, it destroys your stomach. It paralyzes your stomach from being able to digest food. So even if you abandon it, you're going to have problems later, and there's all these lawsuits now. So but they're still so excited, about the potential of the money, as they were with the mRNA that was rolled out for the virus, the worldwide virus. So we have to be discerning. We have to do our research. We cannot just sit. I know you want to trust your doctor. Everybody wants to feel like, oh, well, my doctor said, well, my doctor thinks so and so. Okay, but as he makes this big point in this video, is the way to fix pre-diabetic conditions is diet and exercise. That's the way you correct it. This new drug doesn't correct it. It only manages it. You say, so do you want to be well, or do you want to be managed? That just came out. I had not thought of that before. Do you want to be well, or do you want to be managed? You want your health care to be managed, or do you want to achieve health, good health? And there's a reason why my medicinal plant videos from last year did better than every other. If you saw any of my videos last year, and if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, click the bell for notifications, scroll down and click all. I am sharing my life with cats on my homestead in Tennessee after being a city girl for 40 plus years. So this is a whole new thing. It's courageous. I want to inspire you to be courageous and brave. And my message for today is, look at what you're taking. When I go to the doctor once every year or two, and I say, I just want to get my numbers, my physical, and make sure everything's okay. You'd think she'd be, she's open-minded, but still she is fairly shocked that I don't take any medicine. I'll take an antibiotic, you betcha, if I get an infection. There are medicinal plants, tinctures and things you can take that do help, that are natural antibiotics, and I do take those supplements also. But, you have to listen to your body. I just encourage everyone to take a look at your medicine cabinet and say, wait a minute, they put me on this drug for life. Think about how much money they made on you. And is it something you really need? Or is it something that you could, and I'm not a doctor, and I'm not suggesting you go off your medications and do something radical. No. I am suggesting that you think about it and consider, are there other alternatives? And do they have you on a lifetime drug that you don't really need? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not prescribing anything. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm asking you to think about it. So that's what was on my mind yesterday. And I get home and I look at my phone and I look at the headlines, and we have dropped all of these bombs. What was it, 130 U.S. B-51s attacking Syria? Well, the warmongers in Washington must just be licking their chops this morning. They've been begging for war with Iran for decades. And, I mean, that's just about the last thing we need to be doing. As experts, and I am not one, but I listen to them, have said we never should have had those 3 soldiers that were killed last week in the location they were. They were, it's just, I don't know who's running the ship. I really don't know who's running the ship. But whoever it is does not have, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, have the best interests of our military men and women in mind. It's always send other people's children off to war and we get rich. That's what it is. It's been that way since the beginning of time. And so this military accountability letter, with the 231 signatories, I'm hoping that makes a difference. And I've heard a number of interviews in the last, the letter went out January 1st at 3 or 4 a.m., depending on your time zone. I think it was 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there would have been a lot more signatures, but they felt that they had to get this out when they did start the year off right. And so I've been hearing interviews by various people that signed it and what their situation is. And yesterday, another interview that I heard was this, let's see, oh gosh, I'm bad with names, but she had been in the Guard for 2 months, and she was injured by the mandate, and so I'm not going to go into detail, but all of this is easy to find if you're interested in looking. But she has, when you qualify for the military, you have to be in peak health. You have to pass all of these physical exams, and she ran 10 miles a week. She went to the gym every day. She wanted to go into anti-trafficking. Her heart goes out to all the children that are being trafficked, and she really wanted to be of service and help with that. And so she got her degree. She was just finishing her degree, and she had just signed her contract to join the National Guard in Virginia. And this mandate came out, and she trusted her supervisors, her commanding officer. Since then, her health has been robbed from her. She's had 3 heart attacks. She's been in the hospital 17 times. She's losing the sight in one of her eyes. Because of some vascular damage, she has fallen and injured her spine. And because she was unfit for duty, the military didn't pick up the $100,000 of hospital bills. And so she is the bravest. She is the bravest young girl to have to face all of this. And so my heart goes out to her and to anyone who's been, injured or financially robbed from the mandates. Anyway, so much has been revealed. in the last 3 years, and hopefully you're keeping track with some of it. There's so much to know that I can't even go into it. But thank you so much for listening. I wanted to share a few things. I don't know where we stand. I don't know what we do besides go here, right here. Right here we go. We can go right here and we can see, yeah, it says right here. If anybody is confused by what's going on. Let's see. Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes. There was another big earthquake yesterday. I just saw the headline. I was going to mention that. 5.1. I think Oklahoma. Yeah, 5.1. And earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, the beginning. So, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. This is what you can do, is you can reach for the word, and hopefully it'll give you some comfort and some idea of what's going on. And tune back in here for hopefully more messages of inspiration. I have a man coming today it's going to be warmer. Obviously I'm outside, so it's not freezing. It's late. I wanted to get this done in December. And now we're into February. Anyway, a lot coming up. This is an important month. I also have a birthday. I'm going to be 50. And so it's a big one. And I hope you'll be there every step of the way. God bless you. And keep your chin up, your eyes forward, and be brave. God bless you. See you next time.